Hi, I'm Natalie, and you're watching Free Art Online Academy News. Today we are presenting one of Andy Digger's synopsis and treatments, who is looking for investors, producers and sponsors for realization of the following project. Contrary to the common Iranian filmmakers who pick out in their movies the Iranian government and jurisdiction, as well as social problems as central themes, and so gaining recognition in European and American film festivals, Andy Digger, the Swiss-Iranian screenwriter, photographer and filmmaker who spent more than half of his life in Europe and knowing intensively the negative and positive sides of both social systems, is examining the European society carefully and with keen eyes. To create the precondition for his works being based on science and visions in art, he was forced to go in depth into various themes in greater detail and realize research on a scientific basis. Something conventional with traditional science was not an option for him. So he himself made his own self-educated scheme of studies, including, amongst others, law, psychology, theology, especially Judaism and Christianity, food, geology, paleontology, biology, ecology, anthropology, and genetics, and became the summary of his personal curriculum. He studied in an autodidactic way what life is and was about, how it would and could continue and therefore combine and understand different areas of the story of life. And the essence has become a goal for his future. As a result of his studies, he knew a lot but never everything. Cautiously spoken, he is a generalist and not a specialist in a certain area. To become a man of art and literature, he found his part in art, movie and literature. Don't miss to click projects number 1 to 3 in this series of projects. Now, project number 4. Treatment by Andy Digger. Title: Rafflesia, the Healing Flower. Genre: Drama. Benny Williams, 45, U.S. scientist, psychologist and hobby biologist in the USA, presents in 2013 to the Institute and Center for Cerebral Research in Washington his new scientific theory, convinced to be able to heal core pedophile men without relapse by means of Rafflesia, the biggest flower in the world, including audiovisual and olfactory therapy methods. His theory is based on his own research he had been carrying out for many years, as in his childhood during the 70s, he himself became a victim of sexual abuse by a neighbor, Frank Waters. The impetus and the reason why Benny decided and set as a goal when he was 15, instead of taking vengeance, to find out the reasons of this abnormal disease and to find a remedy and heal this illness without relapses, in order to avoid further victims, was to get an answer to following questions. How can a man destroy the life of a child, killing it mentally, and at the same time save somebody else's life? Due to his conflict within himself, he had to take a decision. To overcome the mental wounds deep inside himself, accompanying him all his life, and being able to forgive the offender. Because this neighbor, Frank Waters, who destroyed Benny's life, and Benny grew up without a father, Frank Waters was the person who saved his beloved mother's life, Sarah Williams, suffering from a rare spinal cord injury, and Frank Waters was the only person whose spinal cord was compatible with his mother's, and he made her a donation of spinal cord. A former colleague from university, Thomas Cook, is arranging contact to the Center of Cerebral Research in Washington, and Benny is presenting his theory to a larger group of physicians, psychologists, and cerebral research scientists. Benny Williams, 45, is trying to present the course of his therapy method, and by means of 3 patients demonstrates the differences between the 3 phenomenon: pedosexuals, core pedophiles, child molesters, and consumer of child pornography. As for the majority of people, they do not know the differences between each of them and are all lumped together. 1. Pedosexuals, persons who are focused on children who are still minors. 2. Persons abusing children. Most of them are not pedosexuals. 3. Consumer of child pornography, in the internet, for example. Various groups of persons, the fewest are pedosexuals with least molestations. 4. Core pedosexuals. Their sexual practice is focused on children only. Benny is explaining that according to the latest development in research and science, it is not possible to redirect a core pedosexual. He will stay a pedosexual. He always will be attracted by children and minors. Renouncing means for him to make sacrifices to sexuality, which is the most attractive for him. However, it seems that core pedophiles have not made their learning processes in their childhood. As adults, their perception remains partly or totally in the children's pattern. Benny is presenting his scientific healing therapy based on following theory. Phase 1, nature as an example. The patient, especially core pedosexuals, has to identify himself with Rafflesia, the largest flower in the world, whose lifespan is about 3 to 7 days. Both of them have in common not having fulfilled the required growth process. They become adults without the perception of adults. Therefore, the patient learns this growth process due to Rafflesia. Phase 2, including audiovisual and olfactory therapy methods. The patient is instructed about the function of human organs, among other things the function of the human backside with its evacuation system, which in case of sexual activity lead to pain and bleeding, supported by olfactory intestinal smell with the intention to achieve renunciation of practicing sex with children being the most attractive form for the patient. After publishing his theory, Benny gets into conflict with other scientists, as conservative medical research is only sponsoring themes that are of common knowledge. Prosecutors and investigators, many employees and officers working in these areas can live with it as they have a secure job. Legal requirements. Due to too many elastic clauses which do not facilitate blocking of suppliers and providers who grant access to child pornography, unsatisfactory legal requirements, and ambiguous clauses. With the media, who, without thorough knowledge and condemnation in advance of trials, and being under permanent time pressure, pedosexuals, core pedophiles, and child molesters are all lumped together and categorized, allowing to increase circulation of their respective media. At the end of the story, Benny has a car accident, and it is not clear if it was an attempt on his life, and if he will survive, and therefore his healing theory will be stopped. The story has an open end, enabling a second part in case of success. Thank you for watching.